Unit 1, Technology and E-Learning. There are specific standards that we will address within this unit of instruction. The topics, we have associated readings. The topics will focus upon online instruction best practices, technological integration, ethical digital citizenship, diversity, accommodations, instructional design, and the doctoral students have additional readings. There are so many laws specifically focused upon supporting people who may have additional needs. One of them is the Americans with Disabilities Act from 1990. Equal opportunities for persons with disabilities in employment, state and government services, public accommodations, commercial facilities, and transportation. Instruction also falls under this. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, ensuring services to children with disabilities throughout the nation. The Assistive Technology Act of 1998, financial assistance to states to support people who have additional needs, and identify policies, federal policies that facilitates payments for assistive technology devices and services. Section 508, which is an amended Rehabilitation Act of 1973, requiring federal agencies to make their electronic and information technology resources accessible to people with disabilities, including online instructional environments. Now, thinking about a community of inquiry revolves around the educational experience, whereas social presence, cognitive presence, and teacher presence. Social presence means the online community of learners, as well as pulling in different community information and engagement. Cognitive presence is the thought process, learning theories undergirding the support towards the instructional understanding and engagement within short-term and long-term cognitive memory aspects. So cognitive presence. And then teaching presence is the structure of the environment, the procedures, the facilitation of the instructor within the instructional environment. And pulling together those three realms, we have the setting climate and supporting discourse, as well as selecting content, which leads to an educational experience. The online instruction, interactive activities, there are so many different types of interactive activities. Way back when I was first jumping into the online instructional environment, all that we really had were focused upon the learners, learner and instructor, learner content, and even and a little earlier, learner interface. And then finally it came around to learner community, but there wasn't anything about the instructor's comfort nor understanding within the instructional environment, which is where significant engagement occurs and supports the learner. So additionally, the instructor and community engagement, instructor content, instructor interface, and instructor self, how not only the learner thinks about the learning process and oneself within the learning process, instructional process, but also the instructor and how the instructor views the instructional environment, views the learners, as well as views their prowess as an instructor within the instructional environment, because we're talking about online instruction, the online instructional environment. Now, thinking about communities of learners, embracing student engagement, engaging students within a course, the instructor is so important for type of feedback, timely, focused, supportive interventions that may be appropriate, as well as monitoring the learning progress, ensuring the learner is engaged, and in case there needs to be any type of pseudo-intervention or intervention, the instructor can be proactive in that approach. But also lesson engagement. What about team teaching? What about student group work, active learning that needs to occur, and how might one engage in active learning within an online environment? Learning styles, even though there's very little, well, let's put it more nicely. There is weak support for learning styles, although the vast majority, 99.9% of the research suggests there is no such thing as learning styles. The studies, no statistical significance. Even though in education it's a gut feeling and people like to engage in the discussions, there is no support for learning styles from a research standpoint. And then self-reflection for the learner. When does the learner have time to sit back and reflect upon the learning experience, how the information fits within their understanding or fulfills some gap in instructional prowess in knowledge-based understanding. And then, of course, cognitive load concerns. How is the environment structured? What is the cognitive architecture? What is the amount of information that is presented to the instructor, to the learner at different points, and framing that appropriately for the learner, as well as self-regulation of the learner. Does the learner know how they learn? Does the learner know how to learn? And self-regulation of the learner can occur through self-observation, self-judgment, self-reaction. Underlying philosophical belief systems concerning learning. What are the learning theories? What are the learning philosophies? And defining one's own learning philosophical style as well as just learning styles. Learning theories. There are so many different types of learning theories, from behavioral, cognitive, constructivist, maybe even connectivist. Learning philosophies. How does an instructor as well as a learner view the learning environment? How does the learner view the instructor? How does the learner view themselves? How does the learner view the subject matter? Different aspects impact one's ability throughout the learning process. Underlying philosophical belief systems from an instructional standpoint, how can one support the learners? Through self-regulation opportunities and efforts. Something as simple as a checklist, procedural checklist, helps to regulate the learner and teaches the learner the process through which they must proceed in order to learn the information and be successful. It's amazing how many people these days have never learned how to learn. And cultural/sociological components is, in so many cultures, instruction and learning is a team endeavor, whereas in the USA, yes, we integrate team-based activities, but there is so much individual, whereas if someone is sharing information or helping someone else learn or helping another learner with a project, that's considered cheating and perhaps plagiarism. And there are social and cultural aspects to the learning process. One needs to be sensitive to these. Cognitive load concerns. After a certain point, you can only take so much information. 5, 10, 15 minutes, especially brand new information without a prior knowledge understanding versus an engagement with materials that you've understood before and you're just rethinking it in new and different ways. That's a cognitive load issue, as well as instructor feedback response time and the lesson framework. Looking at Wenger's communities of practice, the stages of development, it's so interesting. For stages of development, we start out, especially within an online learning environment, in any instructional environment, any type of relational environment as well. We start out with potential at the very beginning. We're all on best behaviors. We go to coalescing. We come together, active engagement with the materials. Then towards the end, final projects, we're dispersing. And then memorable, how people remember that information. And thinking about how we move through that process, as well as the engagement of the instructor at certain points throughout the stages of development, is vitally important. Excuse me. Modeling and leading by example, organizational tools for changing minds is also important. Whether we're talking about power tools or managerial type tools or leadership tools, what is the mode of behaviors? Is it intimidation? Is it information? Is it inspiration? That is vitally important. And then moderation/facilitation wheel is something that I published a while ago about empowerment. Empowerment within an instructional environment and empowering the learner to take professional control of different environments. And these are merely several different qualitative recognitions, themes that arose out of an engagement with the concept of empowerment within a graduate environment. And transcription resources. Within your assignments, you will have the mandate assignment to develop different types of video products. For these products, in order to meet assistive and adaptive needs, one will need a video transcription so that anyone who may not be able to view the material or hear the material will be able to read along or hear it in different ways. So video transcription resources, we in our course will have an overview of options. There are numerous useful tutorials, and some that you may want to think about are Dragon Dictation or Adobe Premiere Pro's little free trial to test out and see which ones work best for you. And editing resources, there are so many video editing resources out there. There are many free ones that have been listed that you can find so many other ones as well. These just happen to be some of the top 10 options that have been listed. So for our assignment, looking at our assignment, we have a two-part assignment effort. The first part is a team assignment. It's a team-based assignment. The team members work together to create a video-based critical analysis multimedia discussion product. Notice no more than 5 minutes in length because it's going to need to be focused, as well as thinking about a transcription. That is going to be a significant transcription, anything over 5 minutes in length. So within this video-based critical analysis, critically analyzing and discussing the unit's subject matter, critically analyzing and discussing each person's 3 MOOCs, the strengths and weaknesses, towards addressing the INACOL standards, engaging in a team-based dialogue where each of the different team members will take the lead and facilitate the discussion at certain points and trade off. The deliverables for Part 1's team assignment will be a video-based product. It must be no longer than 5 minutes in length and a critical analysis throughout the video, as well as a full transcript of the video-based critical analysis multimedia discussion product must be available for review. So to help you with the transcription tools, yes, you have Dragon Dictation. Yes, you have YouTube's transcription option. All that information is available in our course. And there are also many other options available for you depending upon what operating system you're using, and there are just a few listed there for your review. And just to try them, if you're comfortable in one transcription environment already, that's great. Otherwise, you may find that you want to test the others and see which one's best for you. Part 2 of our Unit 1 assignment. So we had Part 1 that we were discussing as a team-based environment endeavor. The Part 2 is an individual endeavor, and this is the individual focused assignment effort wherein each person is individually responsible for your own deliverables. So we have an individual standards-based evaluation of your 3 MOOCs, focusing upon the INACOL standards that were the focus of our unit of instruction, and then an individual reflection manuscript that addresses the assigned readings, reflection upon standards-based evaluation of each MOOC, and overarching reflective experience throughout the unit of instruction. For the first component of our individual assignment, the standards-based evaluation of the 3 MOOCs, there is a template available within our course for you to use with each of your 3 MOOCs, and there is an outline of the reflection manuscript expectations, such as here. For the bulletin board assignment, we have a Part 1 team endeavor where the team deliverables are posted, and along with the team deliverables, each of the individuals' deliverables are also posted. And then Part 2 is the individual effort. Once your assignment is posted, both the team deliverables and the individual deliverables, then the learner has an opportunity to offer quality responses to at least 3 other learner colleagues' introductory posts. And a quality response is a critical analysis and a thoughtful analysis, a reflective analysis, bringing forward different questions, resources, strengths, areas of perhaps potential growth. For example, if the audio is less than easy to understand, you may have a few resources towards supporting our colleagues. You can offer that privately or post it within the environment for everyone else, and there's always something strong in the different team and individual deliverables that can be brought forward as points of discussion, along with anything that may be formative evaluation support. And for the doctoral students, there is an opportunity to submit your academic manuscript draft for review and feedback.